Hello YouTube and hello Renegades. This is my second reaction to a Ren video. The first video, Hi Ren, was awesome. I was so pleasantly surprised by it. It completely took me out of my voice teacher mindset. And so I'm going to go into this next Ren video, Money Game 1, with a different mindset. I'm not going to look at it as a vocal analysis, probably in all likelihood. I mean, I don't know what it is. I've never seen it, but I've been told I need to watch it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a series of Money Game 1, Money Game 2, Money Game 3, talk about all three of them. The Ren fan base, you guys, you've been so incredible. Like the support and the positivity, man. Like it's given me kind of a new spirit about all this, and it makes me feel good about just talking about things, and I feel like I can be myself more. So you guys have brought a side out of my content creation that I just cannot thank you enough. So I know a lot of you don't like a lot of talking going in, so we're just going to get right into it. This is Money Game 1.
It's a strange time we're living in. War can put fear in. Hierarchy parties, they make us feel inferior. Greed runs straight, parliament interiors. Devils walk among us, they fit the criteria. Eerie theory, strife, fearing, weary-minded men when we're clearly living in dictatorships. Nearly blinded by illusions to choose who's fooling who. A ball chained to your shoes on pain. It's a crying shame. The pursuit of our own wealth lights a flame that makes greed a game that lets this whole war burn. As the world turns, the whole world burns.
Okay, I'm going to stop here. I'll try not to stop too much, but man, I got so much to say already. So, I think that me making this video is very timely, considering that the Lefry Jet spleen files have all just been released, like millions of them, and so it's just perfect. It's a perfect time to talk about this stuff. I typically stay away from politics on my Discord server and in my YouTube channel, all that kind of stuff, mostly because I believe that so much of the political spectrum is built to divide people. And I mean, that might sound like a cliche thing to say now, but I think if you think about it a little bit deeper, the fact that it's a cliche to say that politics are dividing means that the propaganda worked, right? So politics should not be something that are divisive. It should be politics should be something that allow us to discuss things and allow us to find a meeting of the minds and to find something that works for the collective, the betterment of collective of society. But what's happened is that politics have become so polarizing that they're a catalyst for conflict. And so the fact that these people that are Ren is referring to here created this system that makes things so polarizing, it means the propagandist worked. So there's a lot that goes into this. And before I really dive into this much more, there's a guy you all should follow. His name is James Corbett. He's like my favorite political commentator, journalist, documentary maker, whatever you want to call him. CorbettReport.com. Incredible. During COVID, his YouTube channel was taken down for having some opinions that, some people in the YouTube hierarchies, as he says, did not like. His channel's back, but he's always worked directly through his website. What's so amazing about his content is that everything is sourced. Every word he says is sourced. Like, he's not going to say anything that he cannot back up with some kind of evidence or, articles or science or he's just an incredible journalist, probably the best in the world, in my opinion. Kind of niche, not many people know about him, but he's so good at what he does. I love his content. Check him out. The reason that I'm bringing him up here is he made a documentary called The Federal Reserve, A Century of Enslavement, I think is what it's called. And I'm not going to take any of his work from him. You should just go watch that documentary, and it will explain exactly how the system was set up in the way that Ren is talking about. So check out James Corbett. Check out that documentary. Amazing stuff.
But money was invented for trade, but now those bits of paper twist hearts, make slaves, turns a saint into a sinner, a child into a killer. His finger on the trigger of a money game.
Well,
Oh, rain, 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 a storm it comes our way, and those who rise through distorted lies, poison in the veins, but we die to
very interesting.
Blame. It's easier to blame, but point the mirror at ourselves. We're all part of this old money game. Stop.
Okay, I'll stop. Thanks, Ren. All right. Here's the deal. So in the recent trove of documents released. There's an interview that a certain, predator did with Steve Bannon. It's a 2-hour-long interview, and I haven't watched all of it, but I've watched quite a bit of it at this point. And he, Mr. J.E., we'll just call him J.E., Mr. J.E. has quite a background in finance. It's where he got his start. And one of the questions he was pressed on was, hey, well, you've known when some of these economic collapses have happened. You've known that the money system was failing. How did you respond to this? How should people respond to this? How are economies supposed to recover if these systems continuously fail? And the analogy he gave was just, I can't quote him exactly. Watch the interview yourself. But what he said was roughly something like, when you have a car and the carburetor breaks on the car, that's a machine. You can take a carburetor that fits your car, plug it in, connect it correctly, and assuming that's the only thing wrong with the car, carburetor works, vehicle functions fine again. Problem solved. He compared the economy not to a machine, but to a body, a human body. And so talk about injecting the poison in your veins. Well, what he literally said, it's crazy. It's just so timely. What he said in this interview was that a body, not all parts can be replaced. You can try, but even if you do replace the parts, the body cannot end because the body will die. So the idea was that if you try to make some kind of operation on the body that causes the body to stop, the body's finished. A car, you have to turn it off to change the part. And J.E. said that you have to pump blood into the body, make sure the blood is still flowing while the work is being done on it. And he compared liquidity in the markets to that blood. He said that liquidity going into the markets, or the ability to continue the flow of commerce, has to happen, because if the machine, the body, the heart stops, the entire system collapses. So Ren says that money was made for trade. Perhaps it was established as a method of a commerce that's easier to, move between people. It standardizes the ability to trade things. But what's happened, based upon recent economic, indicators and recent economic happenings, money has become the liquidity that keeps the system going. And so more money is pumped into the economy is like blood flow to a patient that's being operated on. And that wasn't me that said this. That was J.E. that said this. When you think about it from that perspective, it's almost like the people that own the body, or the person's body, or the economy, whatever you want to call it, the people in charge of it know that the body is decaying. And so they're just pumping it to keep it alive, and pumping it and pumping it and pumping it. It's man, Ren's awesome. Like, his music offers so much perspective. It's great. Interesting kind of visual implication there, that the musician is just the slave that stops and goes at the behest of the ones who control the music makers themselves, the industry. One really good album that talks about the same topics is, and it's kind of a cliche album to a lot of people, but To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar. That album is basically, exploration of Kendrick Lamar's relationship with the music industry. And it's not the same as what Ren is saying here, but it shares some similar sentiments. I'm typically not much into rap and hip hop, but I love that album because of its perspective. It's brilliant in that regard, and it creates a really good metaphor. And I think that if you looked at that album and you kind of looked at some of the implications of the economic principles behind it and the way the music industry works, you'd see some of the parallels between this kind of short but very effective metaphor that Ren just used visually. Really nice. continue to beat
Mr.
their drum.
President, it's evident that everyone's a resident of fear when they support these ideas to keep us separate.
Yep.
When they make us believe that everybody is coming to terrorize you in the streets, they say badly through gritted teeth. That's my right to hate. That's freedom of speech. But when did freedom become a reason to hate? A way to justify a racist slur or insult we make? There's an irony in freedom, cause us in the West, we have pillaged and plundered and murdered our savages, colonized all of the rest. That's called hypocrisy. Preach a certain value that you never keep yourselves. Your country was in flames, you denigrate yourselves in a second. Still you spit your venom, demonizing immigrants when really you're the immigrant, cause all of us are immigrants or descended from immigrants. Irony is imminent. I'll shed the light on immigrants. America was colonized by Britain. Britain, it was colonized by Rome, and also colonized by the Saxons. They were German, by the way. You know how people throw shade upon the Germans because of history's pain, and yet we made the same mistakes all again. Demonize a whole people, Jewish or Muslim, the same and the same. Old situations play on repeat. The same old TV shows repeat. Yeah, we worship the bleak. Our opinions are our own, and we follow like sheep. There's no left, there's no right. In the middle, we sleep.
Interesting. So there's a lot to say about that. I believe that most of this division is completely calculated. And based upon my copious interactions with people from all over the world and from all walks of life. I mean, I've worked with students from everywhere. I mean, from everywhere from, China to Australia to Greece to Germany to America to Mexico to Brazil, Russia, Canada. I've worked with people all over the world. And most people just are not inherently like this. Most people, there are some, but most people that I run into are very balanced and very fair with their assessment of other people. And they look at things from a perspective of people are people. It doesn't matter where you're from, people are people. I believe that most of this division is calculated and done intentionally. I believe that this, the whole immigration situation, all of this is calculated. I believe that there are people that are being intentionally stirred up who already have a propensity toward having these types of negative opinions of other people. They're being stirred up by propaganda. They're being stirred up by how do I say this diplomatically? A slightly not state reprimandable kind of operating on their own, under their own sort of set of rules, pseudo police force that can kind of take liberty to do whatever they want to people. That people are being justifiably stirred up by that, because when you look at the actions of groups like that, you see totalitarianism, you see authoritarianism, you see elements of this creeping into the actions of the people who run our government and are supposed to be there to protect us. And I mean, sure, there are always, absolutely always cases where there are people who've come into this country and committed crimes who should not be here. I don't think that that is a radical position on either side to take. If people in this country have come in with this express purpose of committing crimes and of creating entropy and of creating, problems here, yeah, they should not be here. It's like if someone's in your house and they come in and they start throwing stuff all over your kitchen, yeah, kick them out of your house completely, absolutely. But the whole wide net fallacy, the sweeping generalizations that are occurring, and the fact that now there is an active force in the United States that has been basically given carte blanche to act without any kind of governable, we don't even know what rules they're following. We don't even know. We have no idea. And so we don't know if they're following protocol. We don't know if these people are jumping the gun. We don't know. We have no way of knowing. And what that's doing is it's stirring this unrest and it's stirring this fear, because no matter where you are politically, we're all scared. We're all scared. All of us are scared. We're all scared of the byproducts of what's going to happen as a result of all this political stuff going on in the world right now. And they're using that fear to control us. And I think it's impossible to think rationally and think critically and to look at things objectively if you're operating from a position of fear. There's a book that everyone should read by a man named Edward Bernays. It's called Propaganda. Appropriate title. Well, Edward Bernays was the grandfather of public relations. He literally was the most prominent propagandist in the early 1900s, and the book Propaganda is quite literally his guide on how to create and proliferate propaganda. I'm going to read you the first couple of paragraphs from this book, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about Edward Bernays and some things you might not know about him that are going to blow your mind. Now, this is going to read as conspiracy theory to some of you, but when you find out who Edward Bernays was, and you find that he wrote this book, you're going to be surprised, because this is not conspiracy theory. This is a man that had an active role in the United States government for a long time and was the nephew of Sigmund Freud, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Anyway, this is the beginning of this book, Propaganda. I'm just going to read it to you. Chapter 1, Organizing Chaos. The conscious and intelligent... These are the first words of the book. First words of the book, by the way. The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. We are governed, our minds are molded, our tastes formed, our ideas suggested largely by men we have never heard of. This is a logical result of the way in which our democratic society is organized. Vast numbers of human beings must cooperate in this manner if they are to live together as a smoothly functioning society. Our invisible governors are, in many cases, unaware of the identity of their fellow members in the inner cabinet. They govern us by their qualities of natural leadership, their ability to supply needed ideas, and by their key positions in these social structures. So let's talk about Edward Bernays. I'm going to ask you a question. Just, pause the video and think about it for a minute before you continue. I'm just going to ask you this question. Why do we eat eggs and bacon for breakfast? Pause the video for a moment. Just think about it. Why do we eat eggs and bacon for breakfast? Paused? Done pausing? Good. Well, you probably thought things like, well, it's really healthy, and breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and we should eat breakfast, because it's good for you, and eggs and bacon are the best. Well, sorry to tell you, but the reason you eat eggs and bacon for breakfast is because Edward Bernays propagandized it in the early 1900s. And if you don't believe me, I'll let you hear it from his own mouth. This is Edward Bernays himself talking about how he turned eggs and bacon into the American breakfast.
Many years ago, our client was the Beach-Net Packing Company. We made a research and found out that the American public ate very light breakfasts of coffee, maybe a roll, and orange juice. We went to our physician, found that a heavy breakfast was sounder from the standpoint of health than a light breakfast, because the body loses energy during the night and needs it during the day. We asked the physician, after telling him why we were talking to him, would he be willing, at no cost, to write to 5,000 physicians and ask them whether their judgment was the same as his, confirmed his judgment. He said he would be glad to do it. We carried out a letter to 5,000 physicians. Obviously, all of them concurred that a heavy breakfast was better for the health of the American people than a light breakfast. That was publicized in the newspapers. Newspapers throughout the country had headlines saying 4,500 physicians urge heavy breakfast in order to improve health of American people. Many of them stated that bacon and eggs should be embodied with the breakfast, and as a result, the sale of bacon went up, and I still have a letter from Bartlett Arkell, president of Beach-Net Packing Company, telling me so.
So, what does this mean? If you dig a little bit more into this story, you will find that Edward Bernays was very good friends with the owner of the Beach-Net I think it was Beech Nut Packing Company was the name of it. And the Beech Nut Packing Company was not doing very well before Edward Bernays sent this, persuasive letter to this initial physician. And next thing you know, bacon and eggs are the most common breakfast in the United States. There is almost no justification for it, but the propaganda worked. So going back to Edward Bernays, I know we're kind of getting off the rails here, but this is what Ren's content just makes me go, Getting back to the topic, so much of what we live and believe and think about the world is propaganda. Look up the term Banana Republic. We won't go into it right now, but look up the term Banana Republic and see where that term originated. It's very closely linked to our buddy Edward Bernays. Just look that up on your own. So much of this world is built off of propaganda, and to be able to fight these things that Ren is talking about, we have to learn to fight that propaganda in our minds. We have to learn to identify the propaganda, and we have to learn to say, wait, this doesn't mean anything, or this is designed to divide people. This is not intellectually honest. This is designed to manipulate people. This is designed to control people. There are all sorts of propaganda statements, and this is the last thing I'll say before we keep playing it. Think about the term, the statement, support our troops, right? Or support the troops. What does that mean? What does that mean? There's two sides of this, right? Support the troops, support the military. Well, let's say a man has a son in the military, or a veteran's talking about it. Of course, you don't want people in the military to go out and die, and you want to support the military and make the people in the military feel like you have their back as an American citizen. But on the other hand, you're also saying, well, we support the actions of the military. Say support the troops. You could say both. You could say either, or you could say nothing. A propaganda statement is any statement that is designed to convey a message without a concise ideal attached to it that allow people to interpret it in a method of agreeance effectively. That's a good propaganda statement. And we can talk about, I'm not getting into Donald Trump specifically, but you could talk about his slogan, Make America Great Again. Whether you agree with Trump or not is a perfect propaganda statement, because make America great again. So when was America great? Well, some people will say America was never great, so you can't make America great again. Some people will say America was great back in the 30s. Some people will say, well, America was great when I could go to McDonald's and get a Big Mac for 99 cents. Some people say America was great yesterday. Some people say America is already great. But the statement doesn't mean anything specific. It allows you to interpret what you think it means, and you can take that interpretation and run with it. That's another example of a modern propaganda statement. Propaganda is everywhere, and it is exactly why this problem that Ren is talking about in this video exists. Let's continue.
Rain, 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 a storm it comes our way, and those who rise through distorted lies, poison in the veins, but we'd like to point the blame, 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 blame.
Yep,
It's easy
you gotta fight each other, right?
Blame. But point the mirror at ourselves. We're all part of this whole money game.
Yep. Oh yeah. Wait, no? What's going on?
This old money game.
Drew eyes on him? Maybe the implication here is that they give us what it's almost like the I don't know if you've followed, I love Socrates. I love the Republic. I love that book. And if you're familiar with the cave allegory, there's the whole idea that the people looking at the shadows in the cave will never look to where the source of the light is, as long as they are entertained by the shadows. And maybe this is kind of some sort of pseudo cave allegory that he's inside the mask and he can't see and he's just performing as he should. And he drew eyes on him to implicate that there's a fake vision that he has, he's seeing something that isn't real, or we think he sees something that he doesn't see. I'm not sure. That's an interesting visual analogy. Maybe you guys in the comments can kind of give me some insight as to what he meant by that. I guess it could mean a few different things, but that's, I don't know, interesting. Oh wait, was the rope around his neck? Was that there before? I just noticed that. Was a rope around his neck before? Hang on, guys. I'm at 4:30. Let me look. Go back and look real quick. Oh yeah, it was already okay. It was already on his neck. Okay, so he didn't add that. All right. Proceed. What's going on here? What? No way. Why? Oh man. Wow. That what? Interesting. Like, huh. That's got me thinking. Is the implication? All right. I know there's part 2 and part 3, so maybe that's supposed to be like a cliffhanger. You know, maybe it's supposed to leave me wondering. But is the implication that he's realizing, or that the character in the black is realizing that he was the problem all along, and rather than burning the people that have fueled him and played the music and made him his money that he's controlled, maybe he's realizing that he's the problem and he's burning himself now? Is that the implication? That could be interpreted, I guess. I mean, that's what comes to my mind originally. I might be off now. If it's something that I have to watch the rest of it, there's like a big spoiler or something, like, don't tell me in the comments, but just let me know if I'm on the right track or not. Really interesting stuff. Man, now I want to keep going, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. I'll make another video. I'll do them all sequentially. I'm so excited to watch Ren's content because the first video, Hi Ren, was good. This is great too. I'm so excited about it. I got to hold in the excitement though. Thank you, Renegades. Thank you, Ren fans, for being so welcoming and sharing his content, because this is cool stuff. Anyway, I know some of you watched my last video. I am trying to raise money to go to the Vocology Institute this summer. Check out my GoFundMe if you're interested in donating. It's an opportunity for me to get this amazing certification to work with like the top vocal researchers in the world. I really want to go, but I don't really have enough money right now to do it, so I really need your help if you can. Anything you can offer is amazing. I typically do singing analysis, but you guys haven't really seen that because this Ren stuff doesn't really demand me to talk about his singing very much. It's just not really the point of the music. So if you want to see me do more analysis, check out some of my other videos about singers where I talk about technique, so you can understand that like my core and deep passion really is singing and helping people learn to sing. So this trip to Utah for the Vocology Institute is sort of it'd be like the highlight of my life in terms of being a voice teacher. Anyway, thanks for sharing this with me. I cannot wait to do 2 and 3, and I will see you all then. I cannot wait. Take care, guys. Bye.